What I'd like to talk about may sound grandiose. It's not intended to be that, but I think it may and will significantly impact the future of the world. And the subject is organizational performance and ability to deal.
We're continuously having to shift and change and co-evolve with the environment.
We live in an environment which is rapid change, uncertainty, and complexity and anxiety. We refer to that as KUKA. We know it's exponentially increasing, and it requires much more rapid decision making and responsiveness.
The future looks to be increasingly global. Globalization is the largest part of what's driving this new, what some call the KUKA environment.
The complexity and the dynamic nature of both our own organizations and the tasks and activities and environments that we're trying to deal with, are such that we don't have predictive capability. Even if people do carry out the things that you ask them to do perfectly.
We always are anticipating the future, and we have the potential of effectiveness from 0 to 1 of whether or not whatever we're anticipating will occur.
All the interactions, all the interdependencies, all the feedbacks result in a situation in which you can't predict what the outcome of that is necessarily going to be. And that's not just because we're not smart enough, and it's not just because we don't have a good enough model of the system. That's an uncertainty that's inherent in that situation.
If we think about organizations and the role they play, they have got to improve their capacity of agility and being able to anticipate more of the future, but more importantly, to react when necessary.
This is the kind of thing that we're interested in learning how to do.
To respond effectively and quickly, we call it an agile organization.
And so I think the question then is, well, given that you don't have control on all these different levels, prediction is only possible to certain extents. How do you still succeed in those situations?
The only way that we can influence the future, of course, is by the actions we take. And every action we take is based on our knowledge, the best knowledge that we have.
It's not easy to create an agile organization, but it is absolutely essential that the organization be able to adjust quickly in order to provide sustainable performance over time.
We want to be very clear that the way that we define knowledge is as the capacity, potential or actual, to take effective action.
So the challenge is to determine how to not only develop and create standards that are applicable to most organizations most of the time, but to instantiate them or use them appropriately within collectives and across organizations in order to be able to adapt and cope with increasing complexity, volatility, and uncertainty.
So standards as knowledge means that they are used for us, the decision maker, to take effective action.
There's an important consideration to what is a good standard. And I think that we're not only trying to write standards for how people are trying to interface or do things today or even for the foreseeable future, but we're writing standards that are going to be persistent. They're going to take on a life of their own, and they're going to constrain and structure the way people approach these problems for a long time.
We don't want to implement standards in such a way that we create bureaucracy.
The whole purpose of standards is, in fact, to accelerate the potential for the effectiveness of our actions.
The use of rigid standards in some parts of a system can in fact enable greater flexibility across the total system.
Standards are certainly an important enabler that allow people from different backgrounds, people from different organizations to be able to work on technologies and systems that are related to one another, that have interactions and interfaces with each other.
One way to do this is to transform an organization's work into projects, which are temporary endeavors designed to produce something unique or new.
Our ideas tend to be around trying to find the one best path. We need to change our organizations to be able to pursue multiple at a time. This is what a project environment does. It allows you to try several things at once. Maybe 4 of them fail, but 1 succeeds. That should be okay.
Projects are problem-solving processes or learning activities. So a team can come together and produce something new that is adapted to the environment. So projects are perfectly suited to cope with change and deliver change concomitantly.
Now, the characteristics of individuals, all also have to expand themselves, if you will, to deal effectively in an agile organization, because individual knowledge workers must not work alone, because whatever they do, however they make decisions, and their work itself will impact others throughout the organization. So you need much more collaboration, much more communication, and much more awareness among knowledge workers of who needs to know what I know.
And then dissolving organization has a sense of permanence and preservation of the organizational entity, and that's certainly not what we're after here. So I wonder if we ought to start challenging every one of our terms to see how resilient they are in the new paradigms.
It's going to require a number of different vocations to learn the similar language, to collaborate effectively, to take a positive attitude on what can be done, to create new ideas and try them, and for people to recognize that they must adjust their learning and behavior to the technology and vice versa. If we can get those two to work together, it will be a tremendous asset in terms of meeting this exponential future which is accelerating toward us.